Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening. And this is the Alternative Voice. Welcome. My name is Cleophas, and tonight we are talking about CBC and back to school. Are we ready for this discussion tonight? Tell us live where you are joining us from. And this is the Alternative Voice. Vokish Elite Media. It's time for the show. JKL Empire, JK Showtime, and here we are as the Alternative Voice. Tonight tunaongelelea CBC and back to school. Are parents ready? Are teachers ready? What is this CBC? And those who are already in high school, what's happening around? So we want to have a brief session tonight just to talk more on CBC, the benefits that it has to the students and the teachers delivering the content, and much more. And so, ladies and gentlemen, tell me on the comment section where you are. And if at all you want to know more about this CBC, what is it? In simple terms, that's the Kenyan competency-based curriculum, the new system of education that was designed in 2017. That's the time when it was launched. And right now in the country, almost all schools have incorporated it in their systems. What is it, and how can we help in the push of this new curriculum in our country, in our schools, and what roles do we have to play? So, ladies and gentlemen, joining me live in this discussion from Nairobi, Kenya, is one guest, a friend of mine, long-time friend. That's Andy Magufuli. Andy Magufuli, karibu sana, and tell us briefly who is Andy Magufuli, and welcome to our show tonight.
Thank you so much, Cleophas and the entire team of the Alternative Voice. Andy Magufuli is Andrew Acheng-Ogare, a man from Siaya County, a young man who is based in Nairobi currently, and we are focusing on DCBC so that we can see where it goes. Professionally, I'm a procurement officer. That's my professional line. And we are focusing on how to build the new ideas for the new Kenya that you want. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Andy, for joining live in this discussion tonight. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we have to talk more about the topic CBC and back to school. And I know there are parents who are watching us all over the country, and we are live on Facebook and YouTube just to bring you this light. And we want to dive deep into it. It was in 2017 when the CBC was launched by the Ministry of Education, and it got its roots to our system later in 2020 and 2021, the years that we are in, and the subsequent years. The roll-up has always been there for teachers and students to take these new skills. And so, what are some of these important skills that we're supposed to be having? Teachers and everyone who is here with us tonight, feel free, share with us. You can bring your comments on and tell us the pains of being a teacher, or the joys of being a teacher, and also the pains of being a parent during this new curriculum. I'll go to Andy Magufuli, who is our guest tonight, joining us live from Nairobi. And Andy, if you can hear me and get into this discussion, I'll be unmuting you as soon as you start talking. And so, to avoid the feedback that we are having, we'll try as much as possible to coordinate. Andy Magufuli, we want to go straight into CBC. Is CBC, or was CBC the right thing for Kenyans to do and to adopt at this point in time?
Thank you so much, Mr. Cleo. First, I have to admit that CBC is one of the best documents ever. I've been comparing CBC and the new constitution of the 2010 that we adopted. It's a very good document. It is focusing on empowering all the children, all family, without necessarily focusing on specific academics only. But nevertheless, this program is so much important to all the students, to all the kids within the country. So to me, I applaud the project and applaud the document itself. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. If you are really in support of this amazing document that is called the CBC, we've seen, where can we draw the line, Andy? And if the producer can still stick with us and also tune in at the same time, just to coordinate this discussion tonight, Andy, if you are in a position to give your opinion on this, was CBC meant for rich children, for rich kids outside there?
First, thank you so much. I must align myself and I must align all our listeners with the one primary document, that is the Constitution. If you check the Article 55, that is under Chapter 4 of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, we are focusing on the right to basic primary education or to basic education. So in that case, we are all supposed to be driven by this chapter, by this article, Article 53, 1B, whereby it is focusing that each and every Kenyan children or kid has to go through the mandatory basic education. So in that case, I hold two opinions. First, like I said during the introduction, that I support this document just the way I support the 2010 Constitution. But now the other part of it is now the process of now putting action, I mean things into action. Yeah, because one, you might have a very good document, but how do you go about implementing it and to align yourself with the societal expectation out of the document that you are trying to bring on board? Remember, this is a new policy. And always, when you bring a new policy to an organization or to a country like now Kenya, you must have people who are going to reject it. People are having diverse opinion. But how do you bring it to a point whereby everyone understands that point of changing from the 844 education system to the CBC? My number one point that I have to tell the Kenyan government and the Kenyan people is an open point in that how do we come about implementing the document? Yeah, we have it with us, yes, but how do we go about implementing the document so that each and every kid, not only the rich, and that's where my point of now rejection is now coming on board, because now if you focus on children like in the marginalized regions like the North Rift, the northern part of Kenya, we are seeing that they're not even focusing on even basic education, which was there under 844. Because, like an example, we have had a lot of conflict. How do you have these students or these pupils having a peaceful environment for education? So basically, we have to redraw ourselves. We have to redraw the structure on implementing the CBC. CBC to me is not meant for the rich, it is meant for all Kenyans. The factor is how do you go about implementing, whereby we have seen a lot of laxity in terms of implementation. So we have to go back, sit down with the stakeholders, all the parents, and then we get the opinion, and then we go systematically to ensure that all the kids in Kenya, all the students in Kenya are enjoying the benefits of CBC. Thank you.
When we are talking about children of enjoying this CBC altogether, thanks so much, Andy, for giving that elaborate explanation. When we compare the current system of education, that's CBC, and the former, that's the 844 system that we had in the country before, and I know you are a beneficiary of the same. How can you rate the two? How was it? Compare and contrast these two so that we can see how far we've come from and why we should really accept this new system.
Okay, thank you so much. In that opinion or in that point of reference, if you're doing the comparison between the two systems of education, 844 was good to some extent. CBC is good to some extent. So what we need to do, we don't need to do away with 844 completely to do away with it in terms of now rubbishing it and like keeping the documentation of the 844 in the archives. But we need to continue merging the two so that from there we get to see the beneficiaries of the 844 are coming on board to help in the implementation of the CBC. The key point that I have to admit, and that's why again it is good to look the coin on both sides. So that from there, you don't cheat the seller of a product using the other side of the coin. It could be the other side of the coin is for another country. So basically, you have to check on the merits and the demerits of the CBC. Now, CBC is so good. The issue is the cost of implementation and how it is being implemented. I've been seeing parents are crying, and they're genuine cries that how do we get to attain the CBC when all the costs, like acquiring the simple books or the textbooks for the CBC, are left on the side of the parents, and then you're being told you have to do this, you have to do that. The second point is that how do we take part in implementing the CBC as a parent? I've been discussing with fellow Kenyans on something that I must tell Kenyans that the CBC is now bringing on board. We saw people in the 844 system towards the early 2000 up to the time when now we are having the CBC in 2017, whereby most of the parents neglected their roles in participating in educating their kids. They were left for teachers. But now CBC is now bringing a point whereby, as a parent, you have to take part in doing what? In educating your kid, in doing the homework, so that you get to know what is my kid best at. What is he able to do? What is she able to do? What can we do to make it much attractive for the same? So the two system of education are so good. The factor is let's merge them together. Let's get the participant from the 844 implementing the CBC so that we can achieve.
Interesting.
Interesting.
This is one area that was really emphasized, bringing parents at the center stage of this discussion. And so, if you're joining us live on Facebook, the topic tonight we have CBC and back to school. We know this is the last weekend before we can get into the actual action of. By the way, which term is this, Andy? Which term are we headed to? Is it third term or is it second term half?
This is now second term half. Second term half. It is so much difficult to understand because again, if you look at the program of doing the exams, they shall be done again next year March. So it is quite hectic to understand. I've been trying to get to myself to get to know which time are we focusing on. But to me, I can say it is second half. Yeah.
We are in the second half, and we know that all will be coming to us when we'll be having some parents joining us in this live session. We have one who will be joining us live from Kajiado County, and the next parent will be joining us live from Kwale, so that we can try to compare notes and see where are we as a country, where are we as a people of Kenya, and how far have we progressed since that time. Andy, from the point of this competency-based curriculum, the CBC, the creators of this curriculum envisioned that at the end of the learning period, every learner should have achieved so many things, and that being communication and collaboration, critical thinking, problem solving, imagination and creativity, citizenship, learning to learn. And that's something that not the previous system was not offering us as young people in our primary school, in our high school, and some even went to the extent of being in the university, but they never had this opportunity to have this aspect of learning to learn, because you just learn to pass exam and you don't learn to do this. Then the self-efficacy thing and the digital literacy, introduction of the actual computing in early years, so that when you are employing someone, you don't have to say this person doesn't know this because of this. So are the visions or what the developers saw ahead of time still there? Is this something that we can still take in and say we are going to be proud of the products that will be coming from CBC? We are yet to see them, but as of now, do you think all this vision that was seen by the developers of the curriculum vis-a-vis the expense that we are having as a country and as parents, those who are going through this CBC, are there things that are well aligned? Could the same be introduced in the 844 system and still work out? Andy?
Okay, thank you so much. Let me give this perspective of reasoning on this in terms of cost issues. You know, when we are doing the production, like in this case now, we are having the students or the pupils who are being produced from the CBC or whom we expect to go through the process of CBC. So from there, they come out as refined Kenyans. So we are doing a production. we have got various costs that you have to consider when you are doing the production, because this one will start all the way from acquiring raw materials, acquiring the farm, acquiring the machines, and then during the processing process, you are having other costs like holding costs. Now, bring this idea of reasoning in terms of cost to the CBC part of it. The developers of CBC did not take into account properly the point of cost issues, the point of participants, the stakeholders taking part in it fully. Reason why am I saying this? Look at right now when we are focusing on like an example, like the items or the items that we need to give our kids so that we can have them doing the assignments, doing the classwork, and under CBC. They are quite expensive. And how are you going to make it possible for the parents to achieve this by buying this for the kids? An example, you're having 3 kids, you're having 4 kids, yeah, and they're all under CBC, yeah. They were found at a point whereby they have to abide by the CBC. So in this case, you're subjecting a parent to acquire different items for 5 kids, yeah, at different costs. And again, at the end of the day, they are being required to have them. So in my opinion, the developers plus the government through the Ministry of Education, they didn't focus on the cost effectiveness of this process. And that one might affect us negatively, because at the end of the day, you might not be able to achieve the goal of now having the CBC in place. Because now, that's the point whereby you brought the issue of rich and the poor, yeah, the rich kids and the kids from the humble background. That how are you going to make sure that you are going to have all these people playing the same card at the same time? So basically, we have to refocus on the cost. The other item that I need to admit also, that the vision of the CBC through the developers wasn't well captured. Look at the resources. When we talk about resources, we are now focusing like on the classes. We are focusing on the books. We are focusing on the human resource, yeah, human capability, so that they can deliver on this. So in that case, we are still lagging behind in terms of ensuring that we are having trained teachers, we are having enough classes for the CBC to take effect, yeah, so that we can achieve our goal. And then the other part of it, acquiring materials will still remain a challenge to all of us unless we restructure the way I said, we sit down and rethink using all the players. Thank you.
That's actually the way to go if we were to start thinking that way previously. And so we should have waited and sought the stakeholders' opinion when rolling it out. Nonetheless, we are all in it, and I know the future generation will have to face it. And that's why we are here, the holders of the future generation, just to ensure that we have this section going on. We first take this break 19 minutes into this live discussion, trying to see what the CBC has done and what it's able to do and what we are really expecting it to do in our lives and the lives of our young ones back at home and even here in the city. Mtu anaambiwa atafute loam clay soil in the city. How has it been? To you as a parent, share with us your experience. Follow us on Facebook at The Alternative Live, on Twitter at The Alternative Voice, and on YouTube at The Alternative Voice. And we take this moment to read your comments, the feedback that we have from Facebook, as well as YouTube. Voke anasema it's time. Yes, hapo tumeshaingia, and now we are already in. Wellington Katera watching live from Garissa. Asante sana for always returning. Ambrose Okoth, I'm in. Kisumu is following. Asante sana. Achie is from Gina. Aha, yes. Voke, asante sana. Calvin's Sagi live from Kisumu. Kisumu Massive is well tuned. Efiotieno, it's about time. Karibu sana Magufuli. And nasema hivyo. Echo, tumejaribu kusort, and that's why Andy is on mute. Christina Yeko, asante sana, tuned in from Maseno. That's Maseno University. Alban Louis, asante sana, watching live from Eldoret. Don Oyugi, tuned in from Kochi, India, loving the show. It's a timely topic. First, what is the difference between the CBC and 844 system? And that question has been tackled well by our guest tonight. We have Kevin Odhiambo Kouko, Andy Magufuli, welcome on board. Kwa CBC, I think it should be abandoned. As I see its disadvantages override its advantages in our country, I can't imagine how each and every child should have electronic gadgets such as a tablet to keep at par with others. Myself, I can't afford a tablet as per now. What about the sand harvesters in my native village? That's Kanakwar in St. Paul. Yes, the native village. Kanakwar Massive. Those who are watching, asanteni sana. It's very expensive. I think 844 should be strengthened to be, and let it be. Yes, asante sana Kevin Ouko for that feedback. Now, you can join us. That's the link on the comment section. Just click on it. You're a parent, you're a teacher. Join us live in this discussion. Tell us what you think and what should be done, and what you actually think happened previously that should not have happened. So we are here to talk. Keno tuned in from Kisumu, asante sana. What is the feasibility of CBC over the former system? That's the 844. I have that question ready, and I know Andy will be tackling it immediately we come back from this session that we are having. Wellington Ketera anasema, for me, I don't understand, because every time students are sent home to bring money for exams unprepared, the students do not get time to get back to school and learn. And that's the next part we are coming also to tackle. It's back to school time. Parents just paid the fee 2 weeks ago when these kids were sent home for their after. They're now opening next week and they're supposed to clear their fees on Monday. How is it? Our guest will be joining us. Who is a parent? And what should we be doing in this case? Join this live discussion on the comment section. Kuna link. Just click it and join us. Share your comment and opinion on this. Best approach. Seems to me the CBC is an expensive system. Will the outcome beat the former system? Productivity. Yes, that's one question that we are really asking ourselves. We are getting back to our guest in a few. Zako Mondi, weni mwalimu. Join us on the comment section. Tuambie, tuned in from Siaya County. How is it on your side? In high school, are you ready to receive these CBC students? Yeah? Itakuwa high school ama itakuwa ile ni nyingine? Grade 9. Grade 9 ama grade 10 hadi grade 12. How is it? So give us your comment. What do you think? Yobra D following. Asante sana. Wellington Katera. The problem is CBC came in unprepared, whereby each party does not know their role. Teachers, parents, students, it's still a conclusion. I totally agree with you, Mkubwa. That's Dono Yogi joining us live from that's Kochi, India. Kuna walioingia Leon D Roblox, jina mnazo on Facebook. Asante sana. Kevin Amzil tuning from Nairobi, Kenya. Jail Empire, the government just failed totally in this. And we are in this together as the government we voted in twice. Ask Andy, will CBC solve corruption in early stages of life, or it will wait after massive losses in the government institution that we start and ending court cases? Samu Pio also tuned. We get to the comment section and we are done. We are 24 minutes into this live discussion. If the parents will be here with us, fine. And we are ending it in a few. So, Andy, all these values, and I just want to combine the question asked by Kevin and also by the other. If we talk about the CBC life values, at the end of the learning period, the learners should be in a position or should have been molded to have the following values: love, responsibility, respect, unity, peace, patriotism, and integrity. Talking about the end of corruption in our country, will we have achieved all that by the end of, or at the point when we introduce this product to the market? Will we have all these values that I've mentioned?
Yeah, thank you so much, Tim. One, I just want to be so frank. We have got a system whereby I believe in my statement that I have been saying every time, that we have a system whereby we have got a government which is not able to control the country in terms of the misuse of resources, and again in terms of maximizing on the resources. So it will be so much thicker, so much in terms of being a tall order for us to achieve the ethical standards that we are focusing on in terms of whatever. An example who has asked about corruption and whatever you have asked about that. Because one, who are these people who are teaching the children and the students the CBC? They're the same principal, the same teachers who are asking for extra coins right now from the parents. Yeah, the government has paid the fee. Like example, you pay 9,000 shillings for the day school, then you have got other rates for high school based on their rankings. But now you find still a principal sits somewhere, a teacher sits somewhere, a student teacher sits somewhere, and tells the kid, go home, bring this cash. What's the use of that cash? Nobody knows. I've been following a conversation about some primary schools in Kisumu County. And then the other one, I don't know whether some of us saw it in Kiambu County last time when for months were being admitted, when the parents was crying that her chance has been sold out to another student. So for us to achieve the ethical standard, it calls for what? All some responsibility. It calls for a one person responsive in terms of being a statement president who will say this is wrong, let's follow this, and then everyone will get to catch up with that one. So from there, they see the light of the day.
And that's interesting because we are the generation and we are the passers of this knowledge and passing it to the next person and also seeing whatever thing that is happening in our country and they try to emulate. There is a photo that went viral on CBC. Mtoto anaendesha gari kwa barabara na anapea polisi kitu hapo kwa barabara. What kind of a society are we trying to bring up? And that's why we are here tonight. And Christine Ayeko, grading of performance in point form is actually difficult for parents to understand. And actually, that's another discussion that we should be having. And I'll try next time to bring the chairperson. That's Maio, the chairperson of Parents Teachers Association, PTA, national chair, on board so that we can have this discussion at length. There are some parents who still don't understand and their children have just moved from one grade to the next. And so thank you so much, Christine, for that feedback. And we have Victor Nyalwal. Good evening. I'm following you guys from Kisumu. This is wonderful and it's only good vibes. Thanks so much for being here with us tonight. And luckily, to be able to get the parents joining us live in this discussion, but we are bringing it to an end in a few. And Andy, shule zinafunguliwa hivi karibuni na we say next week they are opening. Do you think parents are ready for this all of this exercise? Going back to school after paying rent, after paying all these school fees just time 2 weeks ago, and here again they are with school fee burden on them. How I know it's a difficult time for everyone in the country based on our economic status. But what's your advice to those parents who are giving up, and some even of the students who are on the verge of dropping because lack of fees? Remember, the government said there is no child who should be sent home because he or she lacks a school fee. What's your take on this? And you also being one of the human rights activists, education is a right. And how can you pass this or talk to the government, the current government, on this important issue when it comes to addressing fees and the expense of life at through this CBC thing and the current state of our economy?
Thank you so much once again. But before I go to that question, let me add something on the CBC generally. What we need to take home finally on the issue of the CBC, let's take it positively. And then let's engage, let's talk to each other so that from there we get the good document being implemented. But let us not have a point whereby we are talking at each other. Yeah, like whatever you have seen in the past, you have seen NAT, you have seen Kupet, you have seen the CS Education and the team. So let's just have a roundtable talk and let's have a process, not an event. CBC is not an event. It is a process that will take years for us to adopt it entirely in terms of documentation the way it is. Now, getting back to that question, I want to frame it in terms of education economic viewpoint of reasoning in terms of the CBC and the parents opening the school with their kids are expected to pay fee, all that. So basically, I want to say that parents, we should not give up. That's the first thing that we must have to accept. Because one, once you've been given oxygen to breathe, you have to survive. It's like the young chicks over chicken, whereby you are having kuku hapa na watoto wake hapa na vifaranga. So the vifaranga will say, no, I can't survive under this, but you have to survive. Remember, the same time you're having the ox and all that. Yeah, so you have to define a system of surviving. Because one, I have to admit that if you go back to Article 53, 1B, we are focusing on a point whereby it is compulsory to have free and free education to our kids. I've not written that. I've not adopted that from nowhere. If you read that article, it will talk about free basic education. So even right now, even if you talk about the issue of paying some small fee from the parents, I wonder which document are we abiding by? Which document are we implementing? You get. That's why I really fault a lot of documentations in Kenya, but we don't align ourselves to implement them to the latter. The second bit of it, or the third bit of it rather, I must say one thing, that parents and teachers, they have to have a conversation. Yeah, they have to talk to each other and see the modalities on how the fee can be paid. I believe and understand that we have a difficult situation in Kenya, but even again, running the schools is also another thing altogether. So all of us, as I've been talking about teamwork, let's discuss. Let's see if you're having alternative. Like some school were accepting that parents can take their kuni, their unga, their mahindi. So from there, it reduces the cost of paying the cash to the school, because you find that some of the parents got good harvest. Now they can use the harvest to pay the fee after agreeing with the school. So the issue of cost in terms of school and all that, it is a matter of discussion, a matter of understanding each other, because you can't educate also the kid free as per the document, because the condition and the environment does not allow you to do that. So that's my opinion. Let's have a conversation, let's bargain, let's sign MOUs, yeah, and then from there we're gonna find ourselves getting out of this mess altogether. Thank you.
At the end of the day, we have that round table where we talk to understand and not talk to each other in a manner that is suggesting that disagreement, but we disagree to agree in some of the areas that are of great concern to us as the citizens and the voters of this country, so that we can continue living in a society where we are all feeling appreciated in any sector. So thanks so much, Andy Magufuli, for honoring the invite to be our guest tonight. The parent from Kajiado couldn't join us, and the parent from Kwale is just on the way home, and the internet connectivity is still a problem because she's still on transit. Wellington Ketera, the problem is there. There is a misunderstanding between parents and teachers. When you pay few cash, the next few days, your kid is sent back home. That makes us take CBC negatively, and that should not be the case. And so I know at the end of the day, everyone is there, and we know there are parents, teachers involved in this exercise. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it's expensive or less expensive, depending from where you are sitting on. And at the end of the day, we all conclude and say, take the responsibility. Let's support the government in this initiative. With whatever thing that we have, let's be there. If you're a teacher and you need a retraining, there are these institutions ready for you, and the government listed them. So all teachers who also will be needing the retraining programs or to take other courses to supplement whatever thing that they have, feel free, share, and also be there to always receive new knowledge. No one, there is no monopoly of knowledge. If you share and also you learn something new, that's what makes CBC something attractive and something that we would say is really making sense. So thank you so much, everyone who found time to be here with us tonight. Thanks for watching. If you're watching us on Facebook, follow that page for you to see next broadcast. And if you're following us on YouTube, subscribe. And remember, this is the Alternative Voice, and it's been nice having you tonight, 36 minutes into this live broadcast. I've been your host, Cleophas, and my guest all the way from Nairobi, Kenya, has been Andy Magufuli. Till next time, keep it the Alternative Voice, and may God bless you all on the other side of this live broadcast. Thanks, and have a good night.
Good night.